Hey everyone, popping on to make the Speedy Lasagna. So this is one of our bringbacks for this fall. The recipe on the back is vegetarian, but it does give an option to make a meat lasagna. And so I've gone ahead and cooked 1 pound of beef. And I decided to add to it the burger spice that we had from the summer. So if you want to spice your meat, then you can take a look, maybe SPG, or one of your other seasonings would be good to add in. I'm not sure, because it gets mixed into the sauce, I'm not sure if that'll add a ton of extra flavoring, but I thought it doesn't hurt to add that. And I cooked it up with our meat separator, which is a silicone product. It's really great because I don't think you can see the texture exactly of the meat, but it's fully broken down, so I don't have any of those giant clumps of ground beef that I would sometimes get if I were just cooking it with a regular spatula. So I highly recommend that. I think these are about $15 in the catalog, and they go to the same heat as all of our other silicone products, so about $4.25, $4.50. So I've turned that off, and I'm gonna get going on the lasagna. So as I mentioned, it would normally be vegetarian, so all you would need to have it would be eggs and ricotta, but you could also make this vegan by choosing a vegan cheese product and an egg replacement. So the first steps on here, I'll be using gluten-free noodles for my lasagna and making this in the microwave. It says to have oven-ready noodles, but I microwaved a lasagna earlier in the summer with regular lasagna noodles, and it turned out just fine. I think the steam wound up cooking the noodles while the rest of the dish was cooking. So I'm going to be mixing this seasoning with a can of crushed tomato. So just make sure I have the right size can, $3.98. Okay, so that's why it's good to read the back here. Sometimes I find the sizing of the cans is not exactly what I have. So this is actually a 796 milliliter can. So I'm going to be only using part of this can today. So doing a little mental math. A little more than half my can will go in here, and then I'll still have some crushed tomato for after. And I believe that goes with 3/4 of a cup of water. Yes, and my seasoning package. And so what's going to happen is there's no cooking. I don't need to prepare a sauce in advance. I don't need to have a jar of sauce. Basically the seasoning in the packet is what gives the lasagna its tomato herbed sauce. And I'm going to be stirring the beef into this mixture so that every time I layer my sauce, I'm actually layering my meat at the same time. So in goes, oh, that smells delicious. Everything, whenever I open it, I find I really smell the quality of the herbs. It's as if I'm using fresh herbs. I had that with the minestrone the other day, that the cooking smell was as if I was using a fresh herb. And I'm just using the 3-in-1 spatula. It's another one of our silicone products. Very nice to get kind of the edges and in small containers. You know, when you're trying to get the last of the almond butter out of the jar, this is a really good tool for that. So I've got that mixing up, and then I'm going to set this aside and get my cheese mixture ready. So, and lots of opportunities to add vegetables into this recipe. I was a little skeptical about making a lasagna in the microwave, but it turned out so beautifully when I made one earlier in the summer, just using the Epicure marinara before the Speedy Lasagna sauce came back. So I'm going to be mixing 2 eggs. I've got here. So I'll mix those in first so I can get the yolks all smashed up. And then instead of ricotta, I'm going to be using homemade cottage cheese, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a second. So get those mixed up. I was a little bit surprised because I was reading the back of the package and it actually says that there's no mention of mozzarella mixed into the main cheese component. So the mozzarella will come at the end of the cooking and will just be kind of scattered on top of the lasagna. I think I made a different recipe in the summer where the cheese was mixed in, and I think in that case maybe I used a little bit less of my cottage cheese. So I need to mix the 2 eggs with 2 cups of ricotta, and then I'm going to be adding spinach into that. So I know this is a cottage cheese container. I actually saved my Breakstone container, and what I do is I take 4 liters of 2% milk and I use them on a boil cycle in my Instant Pot, and then after it hits boil I take it out and I add about 2/3 of a cup of vinegar and leave that for about 10 minutes, and then run that through a sieve, separating the curds and rinsing off the vinegar, and put that into a container with some salt, and I have a really nice dry cottage cheese. So I find this has always served me well using it in lasagna type dishes. So just get this. It's not your typical creamy cottage cheese, but it's delicious, so we eat it or use it in things, and then I know exactly what's in my food, so there's no extra agents. And I often find that containered cheese can have like a plasticky taste, so this is my preferred go-to. Plus, I mean, for that price it's less than $5 to buy the milk, versus trying to buy 2 cups of ricotta would probably be a lot more expensive. So only thing is I'm probably using that full recipe right now, so there won't be very much cottage cheese left over for eating. Okay, so that is mixed, and I'll just put my container aside and just mash that a bit before I add my spinach. And I'm probably going to add a little bit of zucchini into when I'm layering. So this is very, very simple in terms of not having to do too much and when I'm mixing together the lasagna ingredients. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside a minute, move my spinach in. I'm going to slice this a little bit. And I'm just going to eyeball it because I'm not huge on being perfect at measuring. So I usually figure with spinach about every handful is about a cup. So 4 cups of spinach is a nice decent amount of spinach to have in a recipe, but it also, as you know, spinach will curl up a little bit, so it doesn't take up as much room as it seems when it's raw. I bet you could also easily just use a package of frozen spinach, so you just drain that and add it into your mixture, but we have a bunch of spinach in the fridge, so might as well use that. And more. Just big chunks here. And I'm going to give that a stir because my bowl is a little bit small. And it's easier to stir before it's too big. And I think I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not sure if that's exactly 4 cups, but I'm going to be adding the zucchini, so I'm okay with having a little bit less in here. So you can add whatever vegetables that your family enjoys. I've usually used the frozen stuff for mixing into recipes, so it's definitely taking up a lot of room. Okay, so that should be pretty decent in terms of mixing things together. I'm just debating, I took out some Parmesan, whether I'm going to mix the Parmesan in to this or just sprinkle it on the top. I think I'm just going to save it for the top. Okay, all smashed together. And I'm going to get my meat mixed into my tomato sauce and then start layering this lasagna together. Okay, so get my spinach put away. And get these two combined. I'm not really worried about the fact that this has the cottage cheese on it because everything's going to be mixed together in a minute anyway. So I'm just going to use that spoon for my layering and to transfer this over. So just like that, I've got everything seasoned. And then I'll just be quickly putting this together. So my plan for this is actually I'm going to cook the lasagna today in the microwave steamer, and then I'm going to let it cool a little bit and then freeze it in the steamer. And the trick is that you can then pop it out and wrap it up, and then when I'm ready to eat it, I can just pull it out of the freezer, defrost it, and warm it again. And it should, if I defrost it in the steamer, I should probably be able to cook it in the steamer again, but it'll have that perfect square shape for my lasagna. So just move that, and this gives us some extra protein. Definitely don't have to add the meat in. The first option on the back of the package is a meatless version of the lasagna, but I just want to have that extra protein available. I'm going to move my pan over. Cast iron holds the heat, so making sure not to use my hand directly. And so here's my microwave square steamer. And now I'm just going to check for ordering of instructions here. So I'm going to spread some sauce first, then add 3 noodles, and then half of the spinach mixture, and then half the sauce, and then layer again. So there's going to be 2 layers of cheese and a bottom layer of sauce. So just spreading that out on the bottom. It's nice because there'll be nice meaty sauce all the way through. And very simple to make. Okay. So let's see, the gluten-free noodles are smaller, so I'm kind of hopeful that they fit perfectly in the steamer and I don't have to do too much breaking. I know with the regular lasagna noodles, they're pretty big. I always have them in this extra little baggie inside. Okay. So let's see if this is going to be magically the right size. Pretty close. Actually, I'm going to have to break the third one. So as you can see, it's just missing like a strip on each end, so they're a little bit shorter and not quite wide enough. That's okay, because I will just get that. Whoa. Breaking pasta noodles. Actually, I'm only going to need two wide, and then I'll be able to reuse the third one. So I'm probably going to actually have less noodles using the gluten-free versus the regular noodles. So that is good for the calorie count and the carb count. So now that I have my 3 noodles, I'm going to add spinach and sauce. So here is my spinach. So about half of the mixture is going in here now. And this is nice and smooth. Just get the spinach in there. And I think I'll put my zucchini in the next layer. very easy to throw this together in the morning and then be ready to microwave it when you get home, or make it ahead and let it sit so it's easier to cut, because sometimes lasagna is easier to do that afterwards. And I remember it making decent sizes of pieces for us the last time. So more sauce, and then I'm going to go in with my second / last layer. Debating layering my noodles differently so that we kind of have good coverage. I've got my piece from the other layer. I think I'm actually going to add another half piece here. I'm going to have to clean the floor because I keep breaking noodles onto the floor. And sauce. So what comfort food, I'd love to hear in the comments, are you making now that weather is kind of turning a little bit cooler? Definitely more soups are on my menu. I'll probably be making the shepherd's pie in the next little bit, because that's another fall type casserole. Easy. It's nice to have those kind of one dish items, or you just add a salad and it's good to go. Okay, so there's my second layer of my cottage cheese mixture, and I'm going to add some zucchini in here. And let me just find my spatula. I think the only thing about lasagna is the prep bowls. Lots of prep bowls. Okay, so that's in there. I'm just going to throw this aside. Grab some zucchini. So I have this left over from yesterday. I could also be using my mandolin, but I'm just doing some really thin circles of zucchini here. And that's just to give us a chance to have a little more vegetable and to use up something I have. So whatever is your family favorite, you can add that in. What's nice about these recipes is you can just kind of wing it. So that's there. There's plenty of zucchini. Probably could have put a little bit on the bottom level. I just wasn't sure how much I had left. But it's fine, just spreading it out so it's not all clumped in one spot. Let me just double check this. Yeah, so you wind up with sauce kind of above and below the cottage cheese each time. So I'm going to add my last 3 noodles after I add a little bit of sauce. And I'm going to start the microwaving. So the grated cheese will come at the very end. That's the last step. So while it's microwaving, easy enough to be able to get your cheese ready, or if you're using pre-shredded cheese, you can grab that from the fridge, but you're going to add about a cup of shredded cheese on top. So I've just got a regular bar of mozzarella, and that will be my topper. And then I'll also be adding some Parmesan when I do that. So this time I'm going to go this way again. So I just kind of alternated my noodles to make sure I had noodles all the way through. Got my leftover piece here, which I will get. Oh, I feel like my noodles are all different sizes. So I think I could potentially get a full noodle in there. I almost wish that noodles were a little bit rounded on the side. So, I'm not sure in the end. I might have actually used 9 noodles. I kind of stopped counting, but these are definitely smaller noodles than the typical. So, my last bit of sauce. And that's it. And super fast lasagna. And then in the microwave, it's just 15 minutes. And then I'm going to top it with the cheese, and it's good to go. So, throw that aside and just show you what I have here. So this is loaded up, it's nice and heavy, and I'm going to put my lid on and just one last check on this. So microwave on high for 15 minutes, remove, top with grated cheese, and then just by covering it, the steam from the steamer will be how I melt my cheese. Oh, that's heavy. So, et voila, that's how easy it can be. So if you're skeptical about it, give it a try. It is super easy to microwave lasagna. If not, throw it in the oven. It definitely takes longer. With the steamer though, with the lid, it makes sure that everything is nice and cooked. So it's not like when I made a lasagna earlier in the summer and the noodles didn't actually cook, which was really disappointing. I had tinfoil and everything. So hope you enjoyed this demo. Thank you for being on with me for this period of time, and I will post a picture of the finished product afterwards.